Good evening, everybody. This is the Haitian Free Thinkers radio show. I am Reggie, along with my co-host James, and we have a guest. Valerie is with us, and this is the Haitian Free Thinkers radio show. Like I said before, and Haitian Free Thinkers is one of the world's few secular groups that is founded by Haitians for Haitians. And I'm going to take a few moments to read you our mission statement real quick. Haitian Free Thinkers is one of the few places in the world where secular Haitians can gather and socialize. This includes atheists, agnostics, humanists, and the like. Haitian Free Thinkers, or HFT, is dedicated to promoting, embracing, and celebrating secular values in the Haitian community. It is our goal to communicate to our fellow Haitians and non-Haitian citizens of the world our views on religion, superstition, and secular values in a friendly and well-informed manner. We strive to educate ourselves to share vital, pertinent, and practical knowledge, information, and advice for those who need it most. Share our passion, share our goal. So today is 4 January 2014, so Happy New Year to everybody out there who's listening live or will be listening. So let's just go ahead and say hello. James, are you there?
Yes, I am. How you doing?
Good. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you. Bonne année.
Bonne année. So we've had we had a couple of weeks off for different reasons. First, I was sick a couple of weeks back, and we had technical difficulties for the past 2 weeks. But we are here now, and we're here for about an hour or so to discuss a few topics. Valerie has been kind enough to join me this late evening so that we can do her interview. For those of you who don't know, I have a series of interviews with other members of Haitian Free Thinkers. And for those of you who are interested in Haitian Free Thinkers, you are free to look us up online. We primarily work out of Facebook. And just look us up, Haitian Free Thinkers, and you'll find us. And if you have any questions, you can also email us at HaitianFREEThinkers@gmail.com. Once again, that's HaitianFREEThinkers@gmail.com. Tonight, obviously, we're doing our Block Talk radio show, and if you'd like to call in, the call-in number is 646-652-4442. Once again, the call-in number for this show is 646-652-4442. We come to you live every Saturday evening at 11:30 p.m. So that you have a chance to call in and interact with James and I. And whenever we have guests, you can interact with them as well. So let's get right into the topic. What we're going to do tonight is we're going to quickly run through some interview questions for Valerie. And then we'll get to the news and views aspect. All right, so Valerie, you ready?
Yes.
All right. So, first of all, what is your name?
Valerie Bienemy.
Okay. And who are you?
I am. That's always a tough question. Who are you?
Hey, that's what it's all about.
I'm a mother, a wife, an artist, and a free thinker now.
That's excellent. You know, like that seems to, for me, it's a simple question when you write it down, but it's meant to generate thought. And we are always, I think, multiple things. So it's good to hear that you are a mother, a wife, an artist, and for the purpose of this show, free thinkers. That's excellent. How did you hear about HFT?
I heard about it through you.
Okay, yeah. It's a little bit more involved than that. Actually, she was the one that encouraged me to start the group way back when, It's about to be 3 years since HFT started, so you were very instrumental in giving me ideas on how to go about doing that. So thank you.
Thank
so
you.
HFT is doing good. Go ahead, James.
I want to say thank you to her too.
Okay.
You're welcome, James.
Next question is, were you a believer of a religion, and if so, which one?
Yes, I was. I always considered, at 13, I realized I was wishy-washy, or also known as lukewarm. Basically, I'm Christian. I was Christian, yeah. Haitian Methodist, I guess. And then when I was 16, I was baptized, forced by my mom to be baptized at a new church that she was attending. So I became Southern Baptist, which I learned at 16 that's the worst ones, because the Southern Baptists were really, horrible to the slaves. So it's like I was really upset to be a part of that church in Miami Shores, of all places.
And what kind of people are in Miami Shores, for those who don't know?
It's like the white middle class, but they feel like they're a little more upper class. They kind of separate themselves a little bit from everyone else. But there is a lot of Haitians that live in Miami Shores too. But they're a little more, I guess, bougie is the word.
Okay.
From my experience. So that's why my mom chose it. They were cleaner. They don't have church for a long time. So it was like easy for her.
Okay. Has anybody given you a hard time about your skepticism?
Not really, because not too many people know about it.
and for that's Charisma, the little one. So she's joining us right now. So we're just gonna keep it rolling.
I don't think anyone's given me a hard time. The only person I could think of is my mother-in-law. She gave me a hard time when I said I don't believe in God and I don't like going to church and things like that. And she gave me a really hard time. You have to believe in something. She's kind of like, she knows a lot of things are screwed up, but she still goes to church anyway. She still does, her part.
What about the thing with your former best friend?
Oh, well, I guess you can consider that. I told her I was an atheist right before, during her wedding, the planning of her wedding. And when it was time I was her matron of honor. So by the time she went to her priest, which is the Catholic priest, he said that I could not be part of the wedding, that an atheist cannot be inside of the church. So
you couldn't even be inside of the church?
Mm-mm.
Really?
And he said that I should, that she needs to pick someone else, and that it doesn't make sense for a non-believer to be, in a church part of a wedding. Like the whole point is for believers.
And so, wow. So what ended up happening? You didn't go, right? Obviously.
Well, I told her I'm sorry. I didn't want to make her, because she was shaking. She was really upset, and I was like, what's the matter? And she specifically came to my house to talk about it. And it was really hard for her, so I was kind of like, it's no problem. I can lie. Do you want me to lie? And she was kind of like, no. And she was kind of like, she already made up her mind without telling me that. She basically kicked me out, that I wouldn't be part of the wedding. And it was really hard on her, but, that was the decision she made based on what the priest told her and probably, her family.
Okay. Well, you're listening to the Haitian FREE Thinkers radio show. I am Reggie. My co-host is James. And tonight we're joined by Valerie and Charisma. Valerie has been kind enough to join us this evening, and we're talking about basically her experience as a free thinker, atheist, and she, like a lot of people, have faced some adversity since coming out, if you will. One more thing, recently you posted on Facebook that you are a secular person, if you will.
Yes.
How's that going?
It went okay, not like I expected. I was expecting to get at least one phone call or one Facebook Messenger, like, what are you talking about? But all I got was support from, the people who do know that I'm a non-believer now. So that was pretty good. At least I got support. I got some likes, so I'm happy about that. So.
Yeah, I think that's a positive thing, and I didn't know if your family members were gonna see it, but
I'm sure they did.
They probably did, but maybe they're holding it back.
Right.
But it's a good thing, I think, to get it off your chest, and we're still gonna continue to just, I guess, be ourselves. But like James talked about in a couple of shows back, with his work environment. Are you still working with that guy, James?
Oh, yeah. As a matter of fact, he gave me a call today. He said we got another project. The next project we're going to be working on, we're going to be wiring a church.
Oh, so that's very relevant and ironic.
That's what I was thinking.
Gosh, so work is work, and we talked about in that last show. We'll give the people a little bit of a quick catch-up story on that situation.
Okay, basically, I was working on one house doing some drywall, and the guy who owned the house, he introduced me to an electrician. The electrician wanted me to come out. I came out. He liked my work, and during the process of me working with him, he basically told me that, if I have to be a church-going person, I have to be a believer in order to keep working with him. So basically, he's under the impression that, I go to church. I'm a Bible thumper just like him. And, I'm kind of thankful that I did grow up in the church, so whenever he does come at me with something, I do know what to say, and I do know the scriptures that he's coming at me, or do know the stories that he'll come at me with.
That reminds me of a story, too. James, back in Florida, our townhouse, while Reggie was deployed, I needed to get some handiwork done, so I found somebody online, and his website was super Christian, but I thought his website was pretty, straight to the point, and the price was really good because I didn't want to get ripped off. And when he came over, he asked me, I think on the second day that he was doing work, that he's just doing it just to spread the word, to spread God's word, and that I'm a believer, right? And I remember lying, straight up, yes. And he was like, do you go to church? I was like, well, not really. And he was like, well, I only do work for believers. He was just, really crazy. And I was like, oh, my goodness. I felt like such a liar. But I was like, whatever. I need to get this work done, so I'm just going to say what he wants to hear.
You know what's so ironic about that? He told me, you have to be a believer and everything like that to work with me or to get this information that I'm going to give to you, because the last guy I worked with, he wasn't a believer and all that. But come to find out, the guy was a Bible thumper just as much as he is, But they just had a misunderstanding, so he just called said the guy ain't a Christian.
Hey, that's good.
Oh.
Charisma has a comment, too, on that, James.
Well, it's unfortunate that we are still at the point where we have to lie or mislead people or not say stuff so that we can keep our jobs and not feel like our environment is hostile, because and I think part of the reason why we have to do that is because secular people are still, I guess, too much of a mystery to people, and then there's the negative information that's been put out by religious people towards atheists. So we're fighting a public relations campaign, and of course in the Haitian community we're just non-existent as far as people know as of right now, and so that's why the Haitian FREE Thinkers is here, partly to let those who are non-believers know that it's okay. We have others in the community that think like them, and for those who are believers, to let them know that it's normal. We're just regular people, and we're just trying to live our lives. So yeah.
Yeah, that's how I felt with posting on my page on Facebook. I felt like I have to bring an awareness that, the stigma or the reputation that atheists have is not necessarily true, and that basically more people need to come out, and we have to show that we're humans and that we're good people, We have to do it.
I totally agree. It's definitely important because it just normalizes things. It makes things less complicated in the long run. And I've been an atheist since 2009 now, so it's going to be 5 years soon. So I'm so used to it, but like other people feel uncomfortable about it. What about you, James? I know we did our interview. Did you have a specific month and year that you remember accepting that you were an atheist?
No, I don't have a particular month and year. I just remember always questioning. I do remember around the age of 16 when I guess I can't say about 16 because I remember riding the church band and we was asking these questions and stuff like that. And you know how a bunch of stuff don't make sense because you learn stuff in school about biology and all kind of stuff. And we start asking questions, and I'm asking the van driver a couple of questions. I'm just like shooting back, a couple of questions. Next thing you know, lady on the van say it's a sin to try to know everything. You shouldn't be asking all these questions and all of this stuff like that. And I'm like, and I said, well, if we're the child of God, why are we not supposed to know nothing? If I have a child, I want my child to know everything. And then she just turned around with like a look on her face and was like, it's a sin to try to be all too smart and all this other stuff like that. I'm like, that didn't make no sense to me. And if anything, that just made me want to learn more.
Okay, that's excellent. So about 16, that's really good. I think I had questions when I was about that age as well. I just didn't know the options that were available to me at the time. But now with the internet, Facebook, I mean, it's hopefully only a matter of time till I would say somebody meets someone who hopefully is not afraid to say that they're secular, whether it's atheist, agnostic, or humanist. There's different little flavors of it. So that's what we're here for. I want to remind everybody once again that this is the Haitian Free Thinkers radio show on Blog Talk Radio. If you wish to call in, the guest call-in number is 646-652-4442, 646-652-4442. Our show comes on every Saturday evening at 11:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. My name is Reggie, and I'm joined by my co-host James and our special guest Valerie. And so Valerie just gave us a brief bio/interview as far as who she is and how she became a believer. Also, in keeping in with the question, how did you hear about HFT? I said earlier that she was a important instrument in forming HFT, but I want to remind everybody that next weekend will be the anniversary of the earthquake that hit Haiti in 2010. It's going to be 4 years, and the Haitian Free Thinkers are going to hold a Google Hangout. So if you guys are out there and you want to join the Hangout, you are welcome to. But that's going to happen next Saturday. But I founded HFT around the time of the earthquake just to have a good, solid starting point based on that situation because, Pat Robertson made his statement about Haitians making a deal with the devil, and I really didn't like that at all. So that's one of the reasons why I started Haitian Free Thinkers. And right now we're up to 150 members. We've been getting a flood of new members every day pretty much because Facebook has a new thing with tags. So I want to welcome all the new members officially right now. So that's that. So we want to get to some news and views. You had 3 items in particular that you wanted to bring forth to the people. So let's talk about the comedian that raised money for the tornado victims.
Yeah, that was a good one right there. The comedian let me bring it up again, the story. But it was a comedian. He saw the lady on CNN being asked, is she gonna thank God and everything like that for her not being destroyed and her keeping her life, or her being saved during the tornadoes. And the lady just flat out told the reporter that no, I'm an atheist, and he was like, well, okay, I guess he was kind of surprised by that. And the comedian by the name of Doug Stanhope, he raised over $125,000 for the Oklahoma atheist lady.
Okay, that's excellent. I read from the article that she has since moved to Washington, I think. You know anything about that?
Hold on. It didn't. Hold on, I didn't read that part right there.
Yeah, that towards the end it mentioned that she moved, but obviously that's one of the big fallacies that we fight as atheists. I guess that we're just generally bad by nature. We don't have no morals, and obviously we can raise money. So I'm very happy that the comedian did what he did, and it benefited people.
Her name was Rebecca Vitzman.
Yeah, that's her name.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a positive story right there, and we hope that things like that continue because we had our disaster about 4 years ago. The Philippines suffered from their disaster a few months ago. There was a typhoon that hit the Philippines, and I think a lot of people have forgotten about that, but they're suffering. And so, if we can galvanize ourselves as atheists to continue to help people who are at risk, I think it'll be good for I guess public relations, but give people an opportunity to help out. So I think that's a positive thing right there. There's a question that I wanted to make sure I hit for the interview with Valerie real quick. We just talked about if she was a believer, and she said she was a Baptist. So how do you classify yourself now, Valerie, in regards to religion?
Well, now I consider myself an atheist and a secular humanist. I looked that up a few years ago, what it actually means. What is a secular humanist? Because in religion, secular means it's a very derogatory, term. It means you're worldly, you're of the world, and it's not a good thing to be. So I looked it up, and actually it fits me perfectly. It's secular humanism is basically people living their lives morally without a God. You can live a moral life without believing in a God, and I just think that we can live rationally, we can live peacefully together. We don't have to be in all this war that we're in. Secular humanists believe in helping each other out and, bringing each other together, by actually doing something, not on your knees praying to nothingness for results. You're actually going out there and you're helping each other out. So I think, that fits me very well. I would rather help someone than say I'll pray for you,
Okay. And I'm not sure if we covered this, but how does your family and friends feel about your position on religion?
Well, I told my dad. My dad is pretty cool. He's, you said you described him as an agnostic, but he's the one that, while I was younger, he would talk about, his non-belief in hell and that it was a silly thing and that the Bible was just stories. So he kind of helped me to kind of think a little, even though I just followed, I followed my parents' direction. Whatever they told me to do, it's what I did. But he helped me. He was also became a Mason, and I noticed that while I was in my late teens, and, his family gave him a real hard time about that. So it just helped me to question, how could, parents that love their kids so much, he's just becoming a Mason. They were treating him like he was doing the worst thing on earth, because Haitians and Masons, it's a really bad thing to be a Mason. It's like you're doing voodoo or worse, like you're a devil worshiper. So that helped me a lot, to become the way I am. And my father showed me a movie called Zeitgeist. So that really changed my life watching that, because it just discussed how all the religions were the same. The 12 disciples or prophets, born on the 25th, died and resurrected and things like that. So I was in real shock when that happened. So it just helped me to be non-religious. And later on, when I met Reggie, he posted on Facebook about being an atheist. So that just opened up a whole nother can of worms.
Okay. Excellent. I want to remind everybody once again that this is the Haitian Free Thinkers radio show. If you wish to call in, the guest call-in number is 646-652-4442, 646-652-4442. We're joined by Valerie and the regular co-host, James. So we talked about the first news item of interest, which was the comedian that helped raise money for the atheist lady in the Oklahoma tragedy. You also brought to my attention, James, the atheist student president. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I guess this it was. Let me get to it. The atheist student president. First of all, he's always been questioning God and everything like that, and he went to the school originally because it was nice, small. You can get a lot of one-on-one time with the teachers and everything, and he ran for the student president of a Christian school, Christian university, and he was voted, and he was a leader. And then once it came out more and more, that once people started knowing him, that he was actually an atheist. Then I guess other alumni or whatever like that, they made a big story about, made a big fuss about it. But the other people at the school, they were like, they welcome him in, and they don't have any problem with him being an atheist, a practicing atheist, I guess, out and open atheist. He's at the president of Christian University at Eugene.
Oh, okay. So yeah, that was pretty rare, I guess.
Yeah, that's really rare.
He doesn't seem to be suffering from any backlash. So I mean, are some Christians getting used to the idea of having atheists around them? I mean, what do you think about that?
I think what he did first, before people knew that he was an out and open atheist, I think that people just liked him, because it's from the story. They say they have they hold him in high regards, and they know he's a high character and respect. They have respect for him and everything like that. So it seems like they got a chance to know him first, and then after they found out, a couple of people came and gave him hugs. A couple of people shook his hand. They're okay with him.
Okay, so they're the friendly, more or less type of Christians, not the Westboro Baptist type of Christians who
exactly.
would picket at his dog's funeral or anything like that. So I'd like to.
Also in college too, so people in college tend to have more open minds.
Well, I think that's true. Generally speaking, I've never been into a religious college setting. Have you? I don't know what flavor those people are.
No, I've been in, but I don't know. I think people who go to college tend to be a little bit more open minded, because even if you are a Christian, you're going to run into different type of Christians. You might run into a practicing Hindu Christian or something. You're going to have to be a little open-minded.
Okay. So, well, I'm just happy that it's a positive story and a positive ending. Hopefully everything works out well, and that he becomes ambassador in a way. I mean, I don't think that people should necessarily have a responsibility to promote secularism, but since we do have a negative connotation out there as far as who we are, what we do, this is why it's important to do interviews like I did tonight with Valerie, and just doing this little small thing. Hopefully somebody will see that we're regular Joes, and we're decent people for the most part. Just because we don't believe in God, it doesn't mean that we're what people think or say that we are. The other news story that you brought to my attention was the Festivus. I guess what was that? What would we call that? Like the decoration or?
Yeah, it's all it is say Festivus, and I guess that's like I guess some kind of it's like a Christmas, I guess instead of saying Christmas. It actually started with the from Seinfeld, on the episode from Seinfeld.
Okay, so can you tell the people like what exactly is Festivus?
Well, all it is it's celebrated on December 23rd. Festivus is a holiday for the rest of us that grew in popularity thanks to the show Seinfeld. Traditions include the airing of grievances, where people share the ways they've been disappointed by others during the years. Feats and strength, where the heads of the household challenge someone to a wrestling match and erect an unadorned aluminum pole. And this story it caught my attention because they actually put a pole at the Florida Capitol because they had people, all the Christian groups, they had a nativity scene and all that, and had Christmas trees and all that. So atheist group, they decided they wanted to put a Festivus pole, and it's actually a pole of Pabst Blue Ribbon beer cans.
Oh, okay.
I thought that was kind of funny because it's like right there, it's my home state.
That's pretty interesting because the person who put the Festivus pole there was, I guess, trying to make a point that if the Christians can have their nativity scene, then other people should be able to post their own thing as well, right?
Yeah, exactly. Now, one thing I noticed, the other Christian groups and all that right there, like the Florida Prayer Network president, lady by the name of Pam Olson, she didn't really even have any problem about it. She was like, this is another example of freedom of speech, and she says it's their right. They have the right to exercise freedom of speech, and that's what's American about it. And he says, it doesn't faze me. It doesn't faze the God that I serve.
Yeah, I read that part as well. I thought that she handled that in a very dignified manner.
Exactly.
But I think also that she recognized the reason why the other group was putting up the Festivus pole, and she knew that if she basically protested, then her nativity scene would have to go down as well.
Exactly.
So I think there's that aspect of it. But yeah, so that was a really, really good story. As far as myself, on my side, earlier we talked about what it's like to live and work in a religious environment. I can tell you that where I work at, it's very religious. It's very Christian. I work in a office in the Bible Belt in the Atlanta area, where they have this little book called The Daily Bread. I don't know if you've ever seen one.
Yeah, they pass those out here, especially if you're in jail out here. They pass those out here.
Okay, so they have daily breads strategically placed in different areas. But what I wanted to bring up specifically was that there's oath of office that you have to take at my job, and one of them mentioned that at the end that you swear to protect the Constitution and the laws of the state and everything, and at the end it says, "So help me God." So that's probably something that if I had the desire to, I could raise with some people, but I think that it's not worth it as far as job security and just being hated on. Because if you get discriminated against sometimes, it's very difficult to prove it,
You might win the battle, but you'll lose the war.
Exactly. It's little small things like that if we try to correct the people, they're trying to say that we're basically trying to attack their culture, and I just don't think that's really worth it. There's another oath, and I wish I had a copy of it so I can read it verbatim. But basically, there's another oath of office that says basically that you're gonna basically be a person of high moral character, etc., etc. You're gonna obey and uphold the laws, and then at the end it says you're supposed to tell out loud that you are not a communist. And I thought that was pretty surprising because what does being a communist have to do with doing your job? Why is it that you cannot be communist and do the job? So I think that's a straight form of open discrimination, and I'm just surprised nobody said anything about that. But I know the reason why they don't say anything about that is because back in the day with McCarthyism, McCarthyism made everybody who was communist or communist leaning to seem bad. So I think that's a leftover from that time. And since nobody's going to have the balls to say, yo, wait a minute, I'm a communist, but why can't I do the job? Then I think that kind of stayed as part of the oath of office. And I'm not even sure who I will talk to about that, but I really, again, feel that if I brought that up and I followed, I bet you, like, if I, know the laws and know who to talk to, I think I could win that battle but lose the war, like you said. Mm-hmm. So I'm probably just going to be quiet for now and just kind of see how everybody moves. But it is pretty interesting to be working in a religious environment. And you're going to be wiring the church. So I'm guessing for you it's just work, right? You probably like make jokes in your head, but besides that, you ain't gonna jeopardize that, right?
And I ain't gonna jeopardize it or nothing. I'm gonna wire it like it's my house,
Yeah, man, that's what's up. Cause it's just very unfortunate, and I think what I would like to convey to believers is that imagine if you worked in Saudi Arabia, or one of these places that are outside the Christian realm, where people are so used to other people being Muslim, for example, that the thought of you being different is like, what's wrong with you? They just take it for granted, and that's what I think is going on with people here, because most people are Christian of some sort. If they do meet someone different, it's probably different, but one of the popular other religions. So, like, you might find a Jew, you might find a Muslim, and even though they're tolerated, they're not necessarily accepted. But you just can't be atheist. That's just too much, So I want to remind everybody once again that this is the Haitian Free Thinkers radio show. We are coming to you live every Saturday night at 11:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The guest call-in number is 646-652-4442, 646-652-4442. I'm joined by my co-host James and our special guest Valerie as we discuss news and views. And Valerie was gracious enough to give us a quick bio or / interview about herself and her non-belief. And we try to cover different topics of interest that happen to us during our everyday lives. I mentioned to you earlier, James, about getting old in the music scene. Basically, I was working out and I heard some new songs, and a lot of the things that are popular out there don't really, I don't know, I just don't get it. I'm not into it. I mentioned that I was 34 years old. Maybe that's something to do with it. But give us your perspective on how getting old may affect your musical taste.
Well, like, to me, I don't think it affects my musical taste at all because, it does. Because, like, I actually take the time more now to actually listen to the lyrics and the meaning of the songs. And if I hear a backstory, I may not even like the song that much, but if I hear the backstory and if it was a real story behind the song, it'll make me like it more for some reason. And because I guess I do music, or I keep my ear open to it all the time, and I don't know, it doesn't matter. As long as if the song sounds good to me, I'm going to listen to it. It doesn't matter if it's from a 5-year-old or a 50-year-old or a 25-year-old.
Okay, what about you, Valerie? How does your age affect your musical taste?
I don't think it's affected me much. I'm open to different types of music, different genres. I do notice the style in terms of the trend and everything. That's changed from when we were listening to music in our younger years. But I don't mind. I like to hear different hooks and all that stuff. I think it's pretty cool. But I don't like a lot of the artists though.
Why is it that you don't like a lot of the artists?
They just, I don't know. I can't relate anymore. I'm older. I'm a mom. I'm looking at older people more, I don't know, sophisticated, more intelligent black people, not people throwing their dreads around and, what's that song, I Don't Like, and it's catchy though, but I can't really relate. I'm not going to go and look for that song,
That's I Don't Like is by Chief Keef. You know about Chief Keef, right, James?
Yeah, I know all about him.
I saw like some Instagram picture of him holding like AK, like automatic rifles, and I'm like, oh, it's just me. I can't relate,
Yeah, like the song, like I don't know. It's like how like you how like when you used to buy a tape or you used to buy the CD, and you make your own special CD with certain songs or whatever like that. I'll listen to the whole complete album, but if I hear certain songs of the album, those are the only songs I'll listen to. Then all the rest of them I'll just forget all about.
Yeah, that was back in the time when we were in high school and we would make the cassette tape and put all the songs on there.
Yeah, you make our own mixtape and CDs, and yeah, so that was back in the day. But for me, I think what I notice is like the fashion is really like weird to me. Like I spent about a year away, but I mean I think before that it started like with the tight, the tight pants and
oh man.
The hipsters and just the way that the people dress is different now, and it's not really the people, it's the guys, and I mean it's not for me, and I'm okay with that. Back in the day, like I used to think that hip hop was kind of like always be what it is, what I was used to. I mean I never thought about changing it, but like nowadays you have all these other artists. I don't even really look for them. But so I was working out, and like I said, some of the young people were like singing the lyrics of different songs, and I was like, "What? Who is that?" And I was kind of shy to like ask because they're gonna be like, "Wow, you don't know whatever." Like sometimes I know the names.
They're gonna be like, "He's the old man in the room."
Yeah, it's only a matter of time before I think it happens to everybody, But
there are a few good artists right now, young artists.
J. Cole? J. Cole is nice.
And that other guy, the light-skinned one with the long face.
Drake?
No, not Drake. That's a garbage.
J. Cole?
J. Cole. He's pretty good, too. He writes his own lyrics, and it's writing a story. You can, it's like you're there with him with what he's talking about.
He's considered the next Nas. When he first came out and they heard his storytelling ability and the lyrics and stuff like that, and on the latest album that he has called Born Sinner, he has a song called Let Nas Down, because when he first came out, with the mixtapes and everything, people were like, "Oh man, he sounds like Nas. He sounds like young Nas." And he did another song that that was more commercialized, and through the rumors, a mentor of his that was cool with Nas, through the grapevine, he heard Nas didn't like the song, and he felt like, oh man, I'm letting Nas down. So he definitely did a song letting Nas down. Then they did a remix where Nas actually comes back on the remix and basically telling him, no, you didn't let me down. I'm just giving you some advice, about being a young king, and you just like me, basically.
Wow.
See, I mean, that's the kind of thing like. That would be nice to know. I don't know about J. Cole. I would have to look him up. I think I know that person, but I have to look him up. But I mean, like for me, like I said, I just kind of like say, you know what, it's okay, I'm into some other things. Like the intro of Haitian Free Thinkers radio show is by a atheist rapper by the name of Graydon Square. I found out as atheist rappers, so I try to find them as much as you can. You knew a few others. Can you let everybody know some of the other rappers that are like, I guess, secular that you know about? You mentioned before.
Oh well, like I said, everybody knows about Odd Future, and Tyler Creator. There's one lady by this is my favorite. My favorite atheist rapper, lady by the name of Angel Hayes. You know, I just like a lot of her stuff that she comes out with, and she's like a female like Eminem, you know, but not without all the crazy stuff. She just has a lot of lyrical ability and just go fast, go slow, tell a story. She has a one song. She actually used the Eminem beat, "Cleaning Out My Closet," and she's talking about her life story. And I mean, if you don't feel no chills after hearing that song, man, you know, you don't have really a heart, because the girl has been through a lot in her life.
What's her name?
Her name is Angel.
Angel Hayes, yeah.
Haze.
Yeah, I remember that name. So hopefully I'll find a clip. And I've heard "Cleaning Out My Closet." Do you remember that song? Mm-hmm. Any other secular artists that you know of?
Not offhand right now. Not right offhand. Those are the only ones: the Odd Future and the Angel Hayes. I'm trying to remember this. That's another person.
Tyler is crazy.
Who? Oh, Tyler.
Peter?
Yeah, he's nuts.
Tyler he's different.
Eccentric.
Yeah, I don't even. I think what makes him like popular, to be honest with you, like a big, like what got people listening is like he's so young, and he's like his voice doesn't match his face or whatever.
Plus,
would you agree with that?
He's edgy. He's really like.
He goes for that shock factor.
Exactly.
Yeah, he does go for shock factor, but I think his voice stands out too. Like it's a deep voice, right? He's
but he's so young. So he's like only like maybe
20. He's probably 20.
Like 21. Yeah, 21. And he's got
has one Goblin. I fucking hate you. He has some.
Yeah. Transylvania. Yeah, that's a crazy. Then you got he has another a TV show called Lorder Squad.
He has a show?
What? Yeah, I'm talking about it's crazy when they do like crazy stuff, like walking down the street in the middle of the street butt naked, like doing crazy stuff, or like he'll be acting like he's hiding, and somebody walking down the street, and he'll just walk up to him and like throw like make it look like he threw dust or something on him, and like just to get people's reaction.
No, that's not cool.
I know it's crazy. He does a lot of crazy stuff, and like it's been going on for like maybe 3-4 years now.
What? And he's getting paid to do this.
He's getting paid.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean that's again something else I need to look up so I can check it out. That reminds me. By the way, I'm on an account. Valerie brought it up to my attention that I say the word often. And you know something, I'm really working on that, because I look at other people when they speak, they don't necessarily say that. So if you guys go back and listen to the tape, you know, just let me know, because I'm really like mentally trying to stay away from that. So see, I did it again.
I'll just have a pen and just like clicking, like click, click, click.
Yeah, yeah. Each one I owe like a push-up. I was listening to the radio, and Ja Rule supposedly was in jail, and he's out. And basically, I think he's religious now. Have you heard anything about that?
No, not from what I saw. You know, he's always, you know, been like tight. He was almost like DMX a little bit, but he just didn't go too religious. He said it was little God stuff or whatever, but no, since he's been out, he's just been cool, man. I've seen him doing little interviews, and people asking him, you know, how was your time with this and that, and how did you feel with the 50 Cent situation? Nah, he's not religious. He's like he was just regular Ja Rule, living his life. Maybe trying to do a comeback in the music industry. That was all he was talking about.
But he did a movie. I think it came out last year, a Christian movie. with I think Christina Milian, but I could be wrong. One of
You
them.
know, he's always done like little acting films here and there, so he probably did, but I don't think he went the Mace route.
Okay.
What did he go to jail for?
Ooh, probably violation of probation or something like that. I can't remember exactly, but I think he was on probation, and it was probably a violation of probation or something, because I know he had got caught with some ecstasy or something, and it was like that was a violation or something. He did like a year, I think.
Okay, well, is that street credibility for him or no?
I would have thought it was tax evasion.
I think he had the street credibility before he came in, because in the rap music game, if you don't have no street credibility, it's going to be somebody from your hometown that's going to, basically tell you. They're going to take that opportunity to be like, oh, you don't have that street credibility. You don't do that. You don't do this.
Yeah, that's him like 2 years into his rap career.
Yeah, he was already probably like a convicted felon and everything before he started rapping.
But what about the fat guy, who they said that he was a
Rick Ross?
Rick Ross.
Rick Ross. He was a CEO.
Yeah. So is that like not good for his street credibility? But yet he's still doing good, right?
Look, that's when I knew hip hop had officially changed. Because from when I grew up and everything like that, no one ruled in rap or whatever in the streets and everything like that. Was no snitching, no police, and nothing like that. It was I never thought when I was a kid that a police officer rapping. I never thought. I never put two and two together. An officer and rapping. I never put that together. It didn't make sense to me. So and then now in the hip hop industry where we're so much against authority anyway, it doesn't matter what authority it is, but mainly by the police, because a lot of the rap is about the police. And now this guy he used to be a police officer, and now he's rapping, talking about all his drugs and stuff, and then it comes out that he wasn't really like that, and people are still accepting him just because they like his music. So that's when I knew that hip hop wasn't really about that no more. It's all about good music and money. That's all it was about.
That's pretty interesting. Okay, so everybody, this is the Haitian Free Thinkers show. We're coming to you live at this moment. The show came on 4 January 2014. Happy New Year to everybody. Haitian Free Thinkers come to you live every Saturday night at 11:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The guest call-in number is 646-652-4442. Once again, 646-652-4442. You're listening to James, and I'm his co-host, Reggie, and I'm joined by our special guest, Valerie. So we have about an hour left of the show. We covered most of the things that we need to cover. What was your 2013 like, James? How was your year?
Well, last year it started off just like a regular, everything was going well. And then I had, a few bumps and everything, but now everything is, I think it's slowly, my life is actually slowly but surely going to where I want it to be. This year right here is going to be much better. And what I'm going to do this year, I'm not going to really talk about it. I'm just going to be about it more this year. That's one of my I guess resolutions for the year. Instead of talking about it, I'm just going to be more about it and putting it more in action, my plans and stuff.
Okay, what about you, Valerie? How was your 2013?
Wow, I had a tough but grateful 2013. You were deployed for a year, so I took care of the kids, solo basically. I worked on my master's degree, got that done, and moved from Florida to Georgia. It was a good year.
That's great. Obviously, I was away outside the country working, and it was business. It wasn't pleasure, but I was grateful for the opportunity. I came back in October, so I've pretty much been away for most of 2013. But when I did come back, I was grateful to be home. There's a lot of things that you take for granted for being away. So I'm looking forward to a good 2014. Just like James said, there was a few bumps in the road, definitely. But overall, I'm grateful, and just like he said, once again, I'm going to talk less and do more. So I'm definitely grateful for that and looking forward to big things. Let me see. One of the last points of interest that I wanted to bring up before we end the show, because it's getting kind of late, is the anarchy thing. I touched on it with James, and Valerie is a little bit familiar with what I'm talking about. Yeah, basically, long story short is that I don't know how, but I went to somebody else. Like, you know how people post on Facebook. I have a Facebook friend who posted a video, and I checked it out. It was about pledging. It was like a satirical video about not pledging allegiance to the flag or something like that. And I think she had another link to this video called the Jones Plantation. So if you guys are listening or you're interested to get the background story, I suggest that you go to YouTube and you look up the Jones Plantation. Basically, from there, I subscribe to the channel of the person who does these kind of videos, and he and his wife are anarchists. And so anarchy was something that, a lot of people, I mean, when I heard about it, it was like negative. Back in like the late 90s, basically I got the impression that, anarchy is about disorder and people just wanted to like do whatever they want, basically. But this guy was saying, no, that's not what it is. They do advocate a lack of central, government, but they explained it more. And so I started to get interested in that. So I brought that up to James, and I'm gonna give him some information. But the reason why I'm bringing this up overall is I see a lot of similarities as far between atheists and anarchy supporters, because there's an initial misunderstanding of what anarchy is. And I personally find it very interesting because, like, I don't think we should have countries anymore. Like, specifically, but I mean, because, I'm an immigrant, and, like, when I came here, I had to, like, go through paperwork and everything. But, like, how do human beings, in your opinion, James, how do we justify having to make humans, like, have documents to, like, live anywhere? I mean, it's assuming that they're not criminals and they're regular people, right? How do you, like, justify saying, like, you can't come over here, basically?
You know what? I've thought about that one day. I actually thought about that one day. I was thinking, why is it that I can't walk? Like, say if I was on a bike, car, whatever, I can't walk from one country into the other freely. Like, who are you to say that though you can't come to this part because you're not from here and all? Like, that's not real freedom. I've often thought of that before. I can't really explain it, but it's just weird, And I'm gonna have to do some research on that.
Yeah, well, I'll definitely send you some material that you can take a look at, so that you can understand my perspective. Make a long story short, I bought the book by the author. His name is Larken Rose, Larken Rose, Rose, and he has a channel on YouTube. And I just find it fascinating that they're fighting a PR campaign, a public relations, so that they can get people to understand, no, it's not, they don't want government like we know it today, but we can still work together. We're not going to, like, become, like, savages and start, like, shoving spears up each other's butts, you know what I'm saying? We can still be the same, but we don't have somebody telling us what to do. That's basically the big idea, like, what gives James, for example, the right to tell Reggie what to do? What gives Reggie the right to tell Valerie what to do, and vice versa? Like, how do you come up with that concept? And I'm telling you, man, I'm reading the book, and it's very interesting. It's very challenging. I'm very liberal, but it's still like a slap in the face for, like, everything that, you thought was normal. And I was reading the book, man, and I was trying to figure, like, is, how would we run without a centralized government? Like, what would that be like? And he's addressing every concern that most people have. Like, oh, the number one thing is, like, we would need a military to protect us.
You remember when you first initially asked me, like I said, I didn't know, when you asked me what my definition of anarchy, that's what I was thinking, people running around like savages, going crazy, and no central government. And that was like the number one thing. How could it be peace and stability? Because even the Mongolians, when they were in the steppe territories, before, that part of the land, before they started trying to conquer everything, before they rose to be that ultimate power in that region, there was just complete lawlessness. And after the Mongolians took over and everything, it was a peace. It was like, because the Mongolians were running everything, they had their certain rules and regulations, and no women were getting raped or nothing like that because the Mongolians ran everything. It was just, that's what I'm trying to figure out. How would people have peace and without, a central government or somebody to kind of help regulate things?
Well, that's what we're gonna hopefully touch on the next show. We're coming up on roughly about an hour left, and we've been on for about an hour. Any last thoughts that we want to touch up on, and if you know anything that you'll be bringing next time, if you can kind of preview that now?
Actually, I know one story I will be bringing is about the Haitian refugees and the boat and everything, and try to see what's going on with the update and see if they've sent them back already yet. And I'm going to try to figure out, why is it that, when Haitian refugees come over here, they get sent back so fast. For other refugees, they get, they give them a chance to go through certain processes and stuff like that. So I'm going to try to see the history of Haitian refugees. I'm going to make it a whole, matter of fact, that's what my whole thing is going to be next time we come. It's going to be all about, like, the history of Haitian refugees and other refugees that have come to the United States or hit the ports of Miami.
Okay, that's excellent. What about you, Valerie? Any last thoughts?
I'm just happy to be on the show. It was fun.
It was fun. Well, everybody, we're about to sign off. My name is Reggie, and my co-host is James, and tonight's special guest has been Valerie. This is the Haitian Free Thinkers radio show. Haitian Free Thinkers is one of the world's very few groups for secular Haitians. We encourage everybody to check us out. We work primarily out of Facebook. You can just go to Facebook and search Haitian Free Thinkers, and you'll find the group there. You can also email us at HaitianFREEThinkers@gmail.com, all one word, HaitianFREEThinkers@gmail.com. And we have our show here every Saturday night at 11:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So I want to encourage you to join us next time. Give us a call. The guest call-in number is 646-652-4442. Once again, the guest call-in number is 646-652-4442. You heard from James. He'll have some interesting information for us next time in reference to Haitians and our immigration issues. And hopefully I want to hear some more from James and perhaps Valerie, if she's able to join us, about the anarchy and much, much more. Once again, my name is Reggie, and this has been the Haitian Free Thinkers Show. I'll see you next Saturday. Here's the outro.